Do you have no idea what your brand's USP is? You've heard people talk a lot about USP, unique selling proposition or unique selling point, and you're like, what is my brand's USP? I mean, I bake cake, there are a lot of bakers. I just bake cake. My cake is just nice. Or perhaps you are a tailor or a stylist, as I like to call the tush one, and you're like, I just sew outfits. I'm just good at sewing outfits. And you're like, what is really unique about my brand, right? I'm talking about that today. And we'll be talking about it with this very important thing that you should know about called branding. Yes, branding. I'll be sharing you a couple of branding tips and I'll try to explain, right, so that you will get it. Let's do this in 5 minutes, shall we? The first thing I want you to know is that when the branding is right, customers will not complain about your price, they will buy. Do you feel me? What differentiates you from somebody else that you be like, and my price is not expensive, oh. I see that lady, she had a 10k profit and she's still selling. It is branding. It is what? Branding. So let me mention these tips and then you and I will dissect it. The first thing I said, when the branding is right, no matter the price, customers will buy. And you're wondering, okay, what is really this branding? Now listen to this. Every successful business today, they have what? A distinct identity. And that distinguishes them from every other competing brand in the same market space. Yes, they do. Some stylists will say they are just very fantastic at sewing, what's this thing called? Corset, right? Why somebody else is not so good at it, or when the person does it, you will just see that this is lacking. Also, people will make corset and you'll be like, God, this looks like straight up from a factory. That is something that is distinct. Your branding needs to separate you from the next person. Are you an influencer? Something needs to be different about you that will separate you from every other influencer. And that's something that is different. Could be your mannerism, could be in the way you execute your own jobs, could be your policies. That is just your own branding. So that thing that makes you different is what? Branding. Another tip you should take note of is that if your product or service are just like any other ones in the market, then it will take a very long time for you to be noticed by the target market. So if you see that you are struggling for a market share, I mean, you are barely breaking even, you don't get constant inflow of customer, it means your product is the same thing, because people are not coming to you just because you are just different or they don't want to pay elsewhere. They are coming to you because, oh, you are the most convenient, or perhaps you are the closest to their house, or perhaps you are even the cheapest, not because there's just something spectacular about you. Another thing I would like you guys to know is, what do you really need to know when it comes to figuring out your brand's USP, right? How do you really brand your brand? Get what I mean? The first thing is a unique brand name. You need something that can easily be pronounced, that can easily, when heard, they know that this is this person. You shouldn't find something so complicated or something that will not fly when your brand really progresses, or when your brand really scales. I hope you know that some names are already self-limiting. You need to build your business outside of yourself so much that if it comes to a point where you are scaling so much, that name can scale across countries, across continents, and still be considered a household name. Coca-Cola, Apple, Vicky James. See all these names, they resound so much uniqueness. So you need a unique brand name. So another thing that you need to figure out your branding is a unique look or charisma, however you want to pronounce yours. You need to have a very unique look. When you look at Apple, you see the Apple logo. Coca-Cola, you see their logo, and it gives you a happy feeling, right? When you see something like Vicky James brand, you see a particular brand that caters to the elite. She doesn't come cheap, and people still go to her because she doesn't come cheap, right? People aspire to want to be in Vicky James outfit. So these two things I mentioned, a unique brand name and a look and charisma, they leave you unforgettable in the marketplace. Now, note these three things about branding, and I think our 5 minutes will be over once I'm done telling you guys this. One, branding is the reason why people buy what they buy from you. Remember I said earlier that if they are just coming to you because you are the most convenient, you are the cheapest, or because you are the closest to their house or location, then it means you don't have something that has made you stand out from your other competition. Do you understand? So branding is the reason why people do what? Why they buy from you. Branding is the reason people come to me and say, so I want you to influence my brand. Branding is the reason they would say, I don't mind waiting 2 months for you to be free to influence my brand. Branding is the reason why people will book Vicky James months ahead just because they want her to make their AMDCA outfit. Branding is the reason people buy what they buy from you. Also, when creating a marketing strategy, branding is what births your unique selling proposition. Of course, as a brand owner, I shouldn't go into you having a marketing strategy, right? So what will help you stand out is that branding. But it will help you talk about your USP. I'll give you an example. When Coke was working on the strategy to have people's names on bottles, this is their branding. Coke spreads happiness. So share a Coke with a friend, share happiness with a friend, and then they can even have their names on those bottles. All these are branding. Branding is what helps you do what? Birth or come about your unique selling proposition when you want to market. So when you're marketing, if you're not properly branded, you won't know what your USP is to use that as a competitive advantage. You feel me now? And lastly, I will end with this. Branding is what people think of when they think about you as a brand. Yes, branding is what people think of you when they think about you as a brand. And a product or a brand that has its own USP has a competitive advantage over all other products. I hope you've learned something from today. When your product has its own USP or when your brand has its own USP, it gives you a competitive advantage. The advantage that you want to be like, how are you standing out as a baker? Is it your recipe? Is it something that you put in your cake? Is it the way your cakes taste? I have a baker friend called IB Cakes, and when I taste that cake and I taste other cakes, it's IB Cakes and others. I mean, there's just no arguing there. That is our branding. So if you had no idea what your USP is, I'm taking you through the process of figuring out your USP and how you can use that as your competitive advantage. So now go ye to your bedroom or wherever, your secret place, and figure out your USP and make sure that it helps you have a higher hand over your competition, and you are absolutely